Hi, I'm Larry Broom with Yacht Masters Brokerage. We're located at Harbortown Marina in Merritt Island, Florida. And we've had an office here for about 15 years now, and we've been pretty successful at helping our local boaters get the right boat for their needs, and in numerous cases they've traded up or down as time goes by and their circumstances change. So when you're selling a boat, which is half of our job, there's several important things to keep in mind. There's obviously the most significant part of selling a boat is pricing it right. And that's where your broker comes in and can help you analyze the market. We do what we call a CMA, a competitive market analysis, much like on a piece of property that a real estate agent would do. We look at the market, we try to determine what would be the appropriate price for that boat to sell for, and then we discuss that with the seller. And here's where one of the mistakes that a lot of sellers make is they get too wrapped up in what they've got in the boat. I paid so much for it. I fixed the canvas. I repaired the engine or put a new engine in. What everybody has to focus on is that the market is based upon your boat, the condition it's in, its attractiveness to the people out there who want a boat, and the seasonal changes in the market, and the value of that boat and what it'll sell for is independent of what you've put into it. So one of the big hurdles we have to overcome sometimes is folks say, I can't sell it for this price because I've got more than that in it. And I can certainly sympathize with that, but the reality is that you're going to get what the market will bring. Now, the second most important thing probably is appearance. The boat has to look good. If you're trying to get top dollar, it's just again like a home or an automobile. Whatever you're trying to sell, it has to be attractive. It has to have something that a buyer will look at and say, I think I'd like for that to be my boat. So the cosmetics can't be emphasized too much. Sure, it's important what systems a boat has. Recent care and maintenance is very critical, but as they say, you only have one chance to make a first impression, so that boat has got to be in a condition when someone walks up to see it, they're going to say, I like that, I want to look closer. So keeping it clean and keeping it in a good appearance is just so critical. And so many owners don't have the time or inclination to do that, so we strongly encourage you to take advantage of some of the fine folks that do that kind of work, that will do some cleaning and detailing perhaps. The more you do, the better. But a basic good appearance is so critical. Now, once someone says they think they want to buy that boat, then we have the price struck, and we move to the next phase, which is I call proving the boat. It's taking it out, running it, usually in the presence of a marine surveyor. The bigger and more complex the boat is, the more that becomes very important. Smaller boats, runabouts, we'll say, perhaps a good mechanical assessment of the engine would be sufficient. But a bigger, more complex vessel with all kind of systems, perhaps air conditioners and generators and fancy electronics and navigation systems, they're all part of the package, and they all have to be evaluated and shown to be in good operating order. And that's accomplished by a proper marine surveyor. We like to give our buy-in clients a list of surveyors that we recommend and encourage the buyer to call them, discuss the survey with them, how much it'll cost, perhaps ask for a sample of their work. So the buyer needs to develop a comfort level with that. And the seller needs to make sure that that boat's ready for that process. That when you take it out, it's going to perform. Now, again, a bigger, more complex boat is more likely to have some issue arise that you didn't anticipate. And when that happens, you just have to be prepared to discuss the resolution. When you present a listing on a boat and it describes the vessel and what's in the boat, these things are supposed to be there and it's supposed to work. So as a seller, it's so important to make sure to the best of your ability that these things are in order. Now, we generally find that at the end of a survey, we're going to have some issues. It's almost always something. So, and during the survey, it's very important not to get too caught up in a detail here or an issue there. That we note it, we put it on the list, and we move through the whole thing. And at the end of the process, then we'll look at the entirety of it. And based upon that, then the buyer needs to be prepared to satisfy the seller needs to be prepared to satisfy the buyer. After the survey of the vessel and we get the results, the seller has to be prepared to negotiate a satisfaction. Now, some things that we find are going to be expected. We can tell already perhaps that the canvas was a little bit tired, or that there was a few scratches on the hull or some thing. These things we knew going in, so those are things the buyer was aware of. But things that we find that were not known and aren't total showstoppers, as we call them, that makes the buyer walk away, they need to be addressed to the satisfaction of the buyer. Now, there's several ways to do that, and we generally think the best approach is to offer an accommodation to the buyer to let them fix it. They may want to do the top grade A style fix, whereas as the owner of the boat, you may feel that something other would suffice. So make a proper accommodation offer and let them then deal with the issue as they wish. The other factor there is that if the buyer has agreed to have certain issues addressed, then we're going to be waiting for that to be accomplished. We're going to be waiting on the schedule of a service provider to come along and do whatever repair is necessary. So I think we're all better served, and we generally recommend to make an accommodation to the buyer and then let them address the issue as they see fit. So the other thing that happens a lot of times when you're selling your boat is that maybe you want to try for top dollar. Again, a broker will help you do an assessment of what the market is. Sometimes a seller will say, well, I think my boat's probably a little higher, a little better than the average. So, okay, if we come in there and then over time with a high price and the average or market is here, and the market drops, as invariably it does, then when the seller goes to drop his price, he may not come all the way down. He keeps doing this, and it's what we call chasing the market, and you never quite close that gap. So it's important to evaluate the selling of your boat if after some time we're not getting the results, either getting people to look at it or people to want to discuss buying it, then we may have to worry about getting that price down in a more appropriate position. So these are all some things that you need to think about when you're selling your boat. The more urgent your need is, the more aggressive we will be in our marketing. If you get a job overseas and you got to move it quickly, then we'll take that into consideration in the price. But in general, those things are the keys, is to keeping the appearance in good order, keeping the mechanical condition and readiness to be proven, to be prepared to be a little flexible on issues that are found, and to price it right in the first place. So with those things in mind, if we do them and we do our job, we'll get that boat sold.